All right. Thank you all for being here. It's me, Ari Dosset, Comrade Sheet. I'm your anthropologist and sociologist. If you're Italian, come Emiliano. My second given name, perfectly fine. All Italians do that. Um, Please hit the like button, share this live stream, subscribe to the channel, become a member of the channel. You can book a session with me, a one-on-one consultation. Check the fees and instructions in the description box below. My creative works and novels, you can find them on Amazon and Barnes& and Nobles, wherever you can find them. And please donate the links below too. Thank you very much for your contribution. And above all, I want you to listen well to this live stream, pay close attention, take notes, pray about this afterwards, and whether this knowledge applies in your life, apply this knowledge to glorify Heavenly Father. Thank you. Before I continue, how are you all doing today? Let me know, please. How are you all doing today? God is good, you know. In the past, I made videos about the underworld, about satanic cults, explaining what a cult is, what difference is between a satanic cult and just a regular cult. I went in depth on all of that. In this live stream, I'm not going to repeat all the information I shared in previous lives in the past years. What I'm about to do here is I'm going to repeat a few important things, and I'm going to explain how satanic cults get their funding. Because at the end of the day, finances are needed to do things here on earth. I don't care whether it's just a bakery, or I don't care whether it's a school or a hospital or even a government that governs an area. All require finances to pay for the services and goods, also to pay for maintenance of buildings. Because remember, government buildings need maintenance. You need construction workers, you need plumbers, you need painters, you need a lot of people to maintain a building, y'all. Also, the roads out there need to be maintained too. So, what a shit, they gather through taxes. Okay, but to get taxes, you need to have an economy out there, or at least a financial bubble that people are active in. Finances matter. Okay, finance are not the most important thing out there, absolutely not, but finance do matter in daily life. So I'm going to explain to you how the underworld gets its funding and what role witches play in this. I want to explain what a witch is. A witch is a woman. There's no such thing as a male witch. A witch is a woman that inverts her feminine design to get a leverage God never authorized her to have. That's a witch. Okay? So through paranormal age, this woman gets a leverage that she's not designed for, and she gets outcomes with it. That's a witch. So understand the underworld relies on the emotional instability of women to get their funding. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, the underworld or the satanic cults, they do all types of other stuff, criminal activities, selling drugs, or trafficking, whatever. But I want to explain to the core how they get the funding and how it continues and how they're able to get away existing like this. Before I continue, how many of you seen my previous live streams about satanic cults, ritual crime, just the underworld in general? How many of you seen my previous live streams about this topic? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know, please. Elaine here in the live chat says she's doing good. Okay, that's great. I'm doing well too. Thanks, Elaine. God is good, y'all. Mm-hmm. God is good. Now, let me begin to explain the following first. When the Heavenly Father made Adam, he gave Adam a mission, and Adam was already active. No community around him. Then When Adam when Adam showed Heavenly Father that he needed a mate or some companion to assist him, and God made him look for a companion. God, knowing that he wouldn't find it, God brought him to rest, and God performed surgery on him, took a rib, and made the woman. What did Adam say when he saw the woman for the first time? This bone of my bone, flesh my flesh. Therefore she was called woman because she take it out of a man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother's house, cleave unto their wife, they shall become one flesh. Okay, that's what Adam said. Now understand the following. A lot of people don't check what this statement really means. The whole statement Adam said. Now, in nature, human beings are born out of their mothers, out of the woman. However, the woman's origin comes from the man Adam. Okay? Now, let's be clear about the following. Men and women have equal value. So that's not a discussion at all. They don't have an equal function, however. Biologically, they don't have an equal function, and neither do they have it spiritually. Okay? There are differences. And I've explained the differences on the channel also in previous live streams and in many of the over 7,000 videos I've uploaded in the past 12.5 years. Now, get this. Based on what Genesis reveals, males develop individual autonomy over time as part of development, while the female develops group autonomy. Now, what is the difference? Individual autonomy means that you, separate from the community, develop an identity for yourself. Now, all human identities relate to some group whatsoever. However, the male is designed to be able to fund a community, or to establish a community, or that's how God made the man. Okay, so men develop individual autonomy. Women develop group autonomy. Are men and women not both individuals? Yes, they are individuals. However, we're all community creatures. Masculinity is this fierce magnetic energy that powers the strength of a community. Femininity incubates this energy, beautifies it, softens it, and decorates it throughout the earth. That is the difference. And that's why women never outgrow the need for community inclusion. Women develop group autonomy. Men develop individual autonomy. So that's a big difference right over there. And that's a difference that's seldom discussed, even though it's shown right there in Genesis. The woman does leave her mother's and father's house, cleave to her husband, and become one flesh. No, the man does. Okay? So the woman does not outgrow the father's mother's house. Now, when Adam said this, there were no houses on the earth. So what does house refer to? Protective cover. A social and spiritual protective cover. This is what house meant here. So men outgrow the social and spiritual protective cover of the community, and then they become investors in communities. And the prime investment of any man is their wife. If someone's polygynous, it's wives, but let's not go with the common thing here, one wife. Okay, so in dealing for the sexual dynamic, the wife of a man is his prime investment in a community, because human sexuality is community based. A lot of people in the Western world today think that sexuality is all about individual relief or individual pleasure. No, Human sexuality is community-based. It isn't just about childbirth. No. Sexuality is a spirit thing first with a physical outworking. Yes, in the biological sense, the woman carries the baby. And the man carries the seed that contains the species. That's true. That's the biological outworking. Also, therefore, the woman is built differently physically, and the man is built differently physically. However, we're spirit beings with physical bodies. So sexuality is a spirit thing, as what I explained. Masculinity is this fierce, intense energy that powers the life on earth, and the femininity is the is the energy that incubates masculinity, beautifies it, softens it, and decorates it, and brings balance in the earth. All right? This is why women often compared to the earth or to the soil, and men are compared to the sun or the sky or in pagan mythologies. Now, why is important to understand this? Because these satanic cults, or you can call it the underworld, they know their stuff. They know how human beings are built, how human beings are supposed to function. They know how human beings malfunction, and know how to take advantage of the human design and to abuse, misuse when other people malfunction. They know their stuff. They don't go through. They don't go through life operating based on assumptions they never challenged. They don't go through life based on how they were raised by their parents. They don't go through life based on what others feel like or dislike. They know their stuff. So if you don't know your stuff, that means you lack knowledge. And if you lack knowledge, that means that you are bound to malfunction and crash at some point. So if they know their stuff, even though they are evil and they're in wrongdoing, they will still have a leverage over you, and they'll get away with a lot because they know their stuff. Well, you don't. That's why the Bible says, "Man, people perish for lack of knowledge." And yeah, that's the thing. Also, a lot of believers, and the communities they're a part of are perishing for lack of knowledge. All right, so that's why I began with Genesis and the God's sexual design of the human species. Okay, because one thing to understand, this sexual design is the core of what humans do. It's the core of our being. If this is messed up, everything else fails. Simple as that. All right. Now, I'm going to give a parable now to demonstrate how the underworld gets its finances and how it keeps circulating. All right. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask them during this live, but you have to be patient. It may take a little while before I answer your questions. Okay. Now, Jeffrey. Jeffrey is 20. He just started university, and he's doing well as a freshman. He joined a fraternity also, and things go smooth. 3 years later, he finishes bachelor's, and immediately he starts on business with 3 other people that studied with him. Okay, they start their business. Things kind of go well. They don't make a lot of cash, but hey, they don't need a 9 to 5 because they're doing well. Then one day, um, the nephew of Jeffrey, the nephew of Jeffrey, who was just 18, he just turned 18, he went to a witch doctor. Let's call his nephew Frank. So Frank went to a witch doctor. So he entered the office of the witch doctor, and the witch doctor pretended to be the owner of a laundromat. I think he did own a laundromat on paper, But the laundromat was front. Okay, yes, there were people coming to wash your clothes and they paid, but the money led was the front. So the so-called owner of a laundromat was actually a witch doctor. And Frank knew about it, so Frank went to the witch doctor. The witch doctor asked him, Frank, what's up? What do you need? And Frank told him, listen, I have an uncle called Jeffrey. Like 2 years ago, after he graduated for his bachelor's, he and two of his buddies started their own business, and things are kind of going well. But um, a lot of people are not really happy about it. They keep complaining, murmuring, getting upset. Then the witch doctor asked, which people? Just be specific. And then the nephew, in this case, Frank said, listen, my mom is upset about it. My auntie is upset about it. And also uh, the women around me. Uh, I just started college myself. They're also murmuring about it. So especially all the women are upset about it. And man, it's not good having all these people being so upset all the time. The witch doctor told them, you do understand that that's their problem, right? Because Jeffrey and his two friends who started his business, they're not harming anyone. No, no, I know, sir, but it's really not a good thing. So the witch doctor asked, what do you want me to do? And Frank said, listen, I want the business to fail. If that business fails, people are going to feel relieved again, and there's going to be more ease in their life. Because I can't change these people, especially not these women, y'all. So they're upset because Jeffrey was not the type of man they perceived as someone relevant. And now Jeffrey's becoming more relevant than their boyfriends and husbands, and they can't handle it. There are also a lot of dudes, by the way, who can't stand the fact that Jeffrey and his friends are unbothered by their restrictions, whatever. And the witch doctor told them, "You're very smart, Frank. Okay, you want this business of Jeffrey to fail? I can give you a spell that you can repeat. I can give you a potion you can use. Drop the potion at Jeffrey's office or whatever, and watch within just 2 weeks, the business will fall apart. But how are you going to pay?" And Jeffrey said, "Don't worry about it. I talked to um, my sister-in-law about it, and she and her husband are willing to pay. Okay. The potion will cost $2,000 US, and so if you just pay you can wire transfer the $2,000 to this account, following my instructions that I have in this paper, is going to be good. Or you can bring a cash sheet also." So 3 days later, Frank goes there with the cash. Actually, with the cash, with the cash, and in cash he pays the $2,000 US. Okay. So Frank follows the instructions of the witch doctor, and indeed, within 2 weeks, Jeffrey didn't get any customers anymore. Jeffrey's bank recalled the loan out of the blue, the business loan. So long story short, in less than a month, the business crashed. You couldn't do anything anymore. And now you had debt collectors after Jeffrey also. Now you had two former clients want to press charges against Jeffrey out of the blue, because he out of the blue felt taken advantage of. Now, while this was going on, the public felt more at ease. They felt vindicated. What does Jeffrey think he is, becoming so important, not having to suffer 95 like we do, blah, 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 blah. But think about it. Who were behind Frank going to the witch doctor to get a potion to use against Jeffrey? The public was. And Frank was just 18. So the people themselves did not go to the witch doctor. They sent this 18-year-old to do the dirty job. But okay, Frank did instructions. What happens to the $2,000 that the witch doctor took? He's taking that cash. He puts it on some account abroad. saying it is a gift for a relative, whatever. And then that same cash is used to fund other fake businesses by other witch doctors. Now, and let's say now this witch doctor, let's go to this witch doctor, Hank. Let's say Hank now gets, let's say each month, or let's say each week he gets uh 50 customers. Okay, so there's 50 customers. Let's say each customer gets a charm that costs at least $1,000. That's $50,000 in just a week. Okay. Now, why do I say a week? Because unfortunately, in this world, witch doctors get a lot of customers, y'all. You know what I mean? Mankind in its fallen state, though the fall of Adam, is prone to escape. It's prone to escape life. People want to remain alive because they have a survival mechanism, but they want to live life. They want a confined space where they're unbothered and unchallenged. Look at the Tower of Babel when they were doing that, and God had to intervene. So, fallen mankind or everyday people out there, they're they're not into being questioned nor challenged. They want to have a routine that they are trapped in, where they never bothered nor questioned and were simply left alone. So anyone that does not fit this routine is seen as a threat, and they get revenge from the public. Simple as that. Now, some of that revenge is done through legal means, um, through the law. You get arrested, get a fine, put in prison, whatever. Other forms of revenge could be people just abandoning you, or people begin to do a smear campaign on you. People just attack you. But okay, attacking you, people are cautious about it because they want to go to prison. And one way revenge happens by the public, why you don't give in the restrictions, is that people go to witch doctors to do spells on you to get you to either get sick, fail, or die. That's the type of retaliation that's seldom spoken about in the Western world, but it happens too. If they can't use the law against you, if they can't go legal against you, they'll find either people from the streets, criminals, who do the dirty job for them. But a more safer way than going to criminals is for them to go to the paranormal. Okay. First of all, I have a question for you all. How many of you ever experienced a sudden decline in your circumstances? Suddenly, out of the blue, it's like everything's going wrong around you, and it kind of overtakes you, and you couldn't figure out what it was. One day, you were just going about your daily affairs, and the next day, man, everything keeps crashing around you. You forget your keys, you almost fall off the stairs, you get fired from a job, or people suddenly get upset with you. So just one day, everything just goes wrong. How many of you ever experienced this? Let me know in the live chat, please. Let me know. God is good, y'all. Hold on. How many of you ever experienced this? Listen up. There's no such thing as coincidence. Okay? As I mentioned before in previous live streams, there's no tragedy nor misfortune unfolding on the earth without warning symptoms ahead of time. Okay? And remember, evil spirits get their strength to act from human beings operating negativity. Okay? So remember that. So now, when things out of the blue collapse in your life like that, that is the result of energetic pollution that is that's emitted by human beings and negativity. Okay? So those human beings themselves may not have been targeted you specifically. However, because they release all this pollution in the earth, that pollution ended up having end up causing harm, and you became collateral damage. All right? All the accidents out there that happen are the result of energetic pollution that's emitted by the public. Yeah, the public is manifesting all these accidents, y'all. Okay? So I already explained in a live stream how you could guard yourself from becoming collateral damage of the public's energetic pollution. But okay, in the parable I gave unto you of this Jeffrey and his two friends from university that started their own business after graduating, and how a lot of people around were secretly upset about it. But A, because Jeffrey was not selling drugs, he was not scamming people, they couldn't go legal against him. And if they would come out and talk crap against Jeffrey, they would expose themselves as pathetic losers who simply want to escape life. They don't want that too. And at that point, they could have paid some criminals behind the scenes to beat up Jeffrey or whatever, but they would have come out, it would have backfired on them. So the people decided to go paranormal. They couldn't go legal. They didn't want to go physical because they don't want to end up in prison, get a criminal record. They didn't want to go criminal, so they went paranormal. When people can't go legal against you, they'll either go physical or criminal. And when neither physical nor criminal serves their interest, they will go to the paranormal to take action against you. All right, that's what I want you to remember. Now, in this case, the public went paranormal against Jeffrey and his two friends. Nobody told them to do that. Nobody told them it was a good idea. It's them not wanting to face themselves. And because they don't want to face themselves, they don't want to look within, they agree to this external pattern called society to participate in. And because Jeffrey didn't get along with this toxic restriction called society, that's why they got upset with Jeffrey. And because Jeffrey decided to actually, make an attempt in life, made them all look bad. And because they don't want to look bad, now they want to get rid of Jeffrey. So it's their envy and jealousy, it's their own inner unrest that that motivated them to do this for Jeffrey. But now the witch doctor, he just took advantage of this by demanding payment for the charm. So the witch doctor assisted the public in bringing down Jeffrey. And the public, in return, was willing to pay for it. So let's talk about this witch doctor, Hank. Hank now, let's say Hank earns 100,000. Let's say he earns $300,000 in 1 month by selling all his charms. What is he going to do with those $300,000? Because at some point he needs to file his taxes. At some point, the cash will go to a bank account, and the bank wants to know where's the cash coming from. Is he going to say, well, I sell religious potions to cause harm to other people? No, they're not going to do that. So what goes on is that this Hank, he has one or two registered businesses. Now, the business themselves are fronts. It could be as a laundromat over here and a restaurant over there. And let's say as a laundromat. And let's say the laundromat only gets like 200 people a month to do the laundry over there. So the 200 real people come in there each month to do the laundry. Well, actually, regularly, within a month, around 200 people come over there. Let's say that's the case. He now, on paper, can fake like he got 2,000 people that came there, 10 times as much. And he can fake receipts, or, you don't even need receipts because people just go to a laundromat, drop in the coins, do the laundry, and leave. There's not even a receipt directly over there. He can fake like a lot of people came there and drop their coins, do the laundry. He can fake the receipts also and make ones in this case, and then file his tax as, you know what, I earned $1,000 in that month in January with my laundromat. Even though in reality you only earned like $20,000, but you can act like you earned 100,000. So the 80,000 actually is from the cash comes from selling charms. Let's say as a restaurant. Let's say the restaurant only gets let's say the restaurant only gets around 100 people a month. It's not a big restaurant. He can pretend to get 2,000 customers a month, faking orders and all of that. And guess what? Because there are receipts, and because the cash on the bank account, because the cash on the capital bank account match the receipts, the authorities don't look further into it. There are receipts, and the cash match it, so they leave it alone because they don't have time to go after each individual business. They don't have the resource nor the time to do that. And that's how this witch doctor, Hank, gets away laundering the cash he earns by selling charms to people. Is that example clear to you? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. Let me know in the live chat, please. I'm not done yet. I just want to know if you understand it up until now. Now, once the cash is laundered like this, is on the accounts, what they do now is that the witch doctors, they come together, they discuss with one another how much cash they earned with selling charms and potions. And they also discuss how they've been laundering it through their fake businesses. And now, a portion of this cash, let's say now you have, let's take, for example, New York City. Let's say there are, let's say there are 2,000 witch doctors in New York City alone, okay? Serving almost all of New York State. Let's say there are 2,000 witch doctors in New York City. And let's say together, they earned in 1 year, let's say 2,000 witch doctors. Let's say in 1 year, all of them earned, uh, okay, let me think of a good number. 1,000 each. Let's say they earned like, uh, let's say they earned like $200 million. Let's say the witch doctors in New York City, let's say the 2,000 witch doctors in New York City and earned $200 million in a year. Now, 200 million is a very conservative estimate. Because remember, besides individuals going for individual charms, you also have companies ordering charms also. It could be that a coffee shop somewhere in New Jersey wants some competitor that goes out of business, and now they have to pay for corporate charm, and corporate charms can be 10,000, 20,000, or even 50,000. And if it's a big uh, corporation, the corporation have to pay like maybe 1 or 2 million for a charm. Yes, those things happen, y'all. You get me? So let's say now you have 2,000 witch doctors and earn 200 million US dollars in a year. That means each of them earned $100,000. You know what? That's a bit low. 2,000 witch doctors, 200. Let's say they earned 5 billion. Let's say they earned 5 billion US dollars. That's a more realistic estimate because witch doctors earn quite a lot. Let's say you have 2,000 witch doctors in New York City and earned $5 billion with their charms in just 1 year. 5 billion. Now, that's 5 billion US dollars. Of course, they have to pay the tax. Let's say they pay the tax and afterwards they have like $3 billion left. Okay? Now, that cash they've earned is registered as income to their business. So, because of this, they can't just go out and spend it like that. So, what they'll do is you have 3 billion US dollars now, and they now will look for any type of operation out there that will serve Satan's agenda, which is to keep human species in a state of misery. So let's say now you are an artist. Let's say you are a singer and songwriter, and you want to get a record deal because you like singing and making songs, all that. You even have a band already. So you are a singer and songwriter, and you have a band out there. But the thing is, you don't have any finance to start your career. Normally, go to friends and family. They can sponsor you, help you out. Or you do a fundraising through GoFundMe or whatever. But let's say now that you are a singer songwriter, and you and your band, you don't really have actual principles, values, none of that. You just want to make cash and live a false life. You now could be approached by one of these uh, witches or warlocks that are part of a cult and tell you, listen, we've seen you performing your music on YouTube. We've seen you on Instagram. And we did some research into you. You're not the type of guy that's really into caring much about the community or all of that. You just want to make some cash, right? Singing and be left alone, correct? Let's say that's you and say, yeah, that's true. They tell you, well, just come to this party, Ophir. There are some people you need to meet. So you and your band go and you perform at the party. After your performance, you have some men who want to talk to you. Now, these men are not witch doctors, they're wizards. They're the ones running satanic cults. And these men, let's say the three of them tell you, listen, uh, we are we can invest in your career. We can we know a record label is able to help you. You get a good contract, this and this, but you need to get along with a plan. So this is the next thing they do. They tell you, here's the Bible, read it, and afterwards, after like a month, come here to this mansion over here. You think, what? Yeah, read the whole Bible, y'all. Then come to this mansion over here a month from now. So you and your bands, you all read the Bible from cover to cover, and then a month later you go to this mansion somewhere in some village. Okay, you go to that mansion. There, the wizards are there waiting for you, and you have some witches there dressed in sexy outfits. There are their assistants, and then you and your band thinks, okay, you asked us to read the Bible, so why do you have to read the Bible, y'all? And while you're there, they tell you sit down. You sit down. They begin to um, chant all those weird stuff. Before you know it, you have these entities appear, these evil spirits that appear out there. You can actually see them. You and your band members thinking, what's this? Actual manifestation, evil spirits appear right over there. And then they give you a whole lecture about who they are, uh, that they are wizards, they serve Satan's agenda, and there are various cults they're running. They're deeply involved in finance, all of this. They give you the whole overview, and then they offer you a contract. But they warn you, listen, the reason we told you to read the Bible first is because you need to know what you're getting yourself involved with. The Heavenly Father is real, heaven and earth are real, holy angels are real, evil spirits are real. I mean, a few evil spirits just appeared in front of you right now. They're still here roaming around. Listen, y'all. Um, we knew you were no atheist or agnostic. We knew you were already spiritually tuned, so we already were aware of these things. Listen, the moment you sign this contract, you go against the Heavenly Father. You forfeit and give up any natural protection that you're entitled to. You join the dark side, you have to become a channel. You have to become a channel for any type of negative agenda, and you're going to become a personal portal for demons to work through to your bodies. Are you ready? And let's say now you are such a sellout. You say, man, I don't care for damn, man. I want the cash, man. I don't care. Whatever, man. You all sign a deal over there. Then, of course, you have to go to the rituals, the sexual humiliation, blah, blah, blah. Then you meet the criminals who are involved in the streets. You meet the corrupt police officers. You meet the lawyers that are covering for them, all of that. You meet the whole network. Okay? So from the 3 billion US dollars that the 2000 witch doctors had in New York City, they now take 5 million US dollars and they invest in you, and you get payment you guys get paid of 1 million US dollars. So now you start performing around here and there. You suddenly blow up on social media. Suddenly you become famous on social media. Also, a lot of people want to listen to your music because your music played on every radio station, because these cults are paying for it, all of that. And now you embodying some negative agenda that will keep the public in a low vibration. That low vibration keeps people in envy and jealousy, and before you know it, people again want to go to some witch doctor or fortune teller to charm some other people, and that's how it keeps on going on and on. So the witch doctors, once they got all the cash, they pay the tax, and the cash that's left, they now, or sometimes they have tax exemptions, or they use loopholes, avoid tax, whatever. Now they will look for a portion of the cash they'll use to fund any enterprise, any undertaking that will keep the human species in a state of negativity. They will, under no circumstance, fund any real believer, nor anyone that has any good quality that will actually help out the masses. They will not. If they end up giving cash to a believer, it's because it's a miracle and under pressure that they've done it, not out of their own volition. Because remember, they are serving Satan's agenda. They need the population to stay in a state of negativity to keep society going. So they keep people in a state of negativity, and they fund projects that will keep this negativity going. For example, these witch doctors may decide to invest in some Syrian refugee that just came over from Syria, and because a lot of the people, let's say you have a huge anti-migrant sentiment in a place, the witch doctors may decide to fund a Syrian refugee with millions and make him, and suddenly the Syrian's supermarket or whatever thing he starts is so prosperous that he now becomes has a lot of leverage in the community. And you think that they funded this guy out of goodwill, out of charity, or because they care about refugees and all that? No, no, no. They invest all the cash in this Syrian refugee because they knew very well that with this Syrian refugee getting financial dominance over here, it's going to anger the people. And this anger will lead to a lot of unrest. The demons will be fabulous unrest. And now the people now will look for an escape from their own unrest. And the endless escape to end up spending the cash uh, on paranormal means. And that's how the cycle continues for the underworld. And now because we want to escape, some will go to do drugs, some will turn to alcohol, some will turn to prostitution or to porn. So that's how satanic cults get their cash. They first of all take advantage of the escapism of the masses. When people decide to go paranormal, they are ready to sell their charms. The income of the charms will now be used to fund uh, trafficking, drug dealing, porn, prostitution, whatever. And also going to be some quote unquote clean businesses that will fund as a front. So they'll become so called venture capitalists. Now, not every venture capitalist is part of this, don't get me wrong, but they'll become venture capitalists or they become private equity firms. And again, not every private equity firm or any venture capitalist firm is part of this, but that's one way often the witch doctors hide themselves. So they register themselves as a venture capitalist, as an angel investor, or as a investment firm, or or they even may start their own fake bank or whatever. So they'll do all of that just to be able to find toxic projects to fund. Know that these toxic projects will anger, annoy, and upset the people, and that will keep the cycle of misfortune going on the earth. Up until now, are there any questions about this topic? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. God is good, y'all. God is good. Now, You mean I told you before that women play a big role in funding the underworld. Okay, now what's the role of women in general? And by this, not every woman is involved in this, but this already common sense. Not every woman is involved in this. In general, women in the world play a big role in funding the underworld. Okay, for example, um, and let me say it like this: women, they amplify whatever energy is emitted out there in the community. It goes like this: based on how Heavenly Father designed the woman, this is how it goes. The woman develops group's autonomy. She develops group autonomy. Okay. Based on that, she now, for her very special function, relies on community approval, community affection. Okay. So based on the woman is built by God, she will always look for a group to belong to. Just like we need water for our bodies, or else we die, or we need food to eat for nutrients, we need sleep to remain functional. The same way the woman, the way God built the woman, she needs community affection, or you go call it psychic income. That's why she's prone by design to look for a group to belong to. Okay, that's also thing you can change about females. It's just the way they're built by God. Okay, because again, females are energy sponges, so they need to belong to a group where their sponge quality as spirit beings can come into play. Now, so the woman seeks a group that she wants to belong to. Okay, once she finds a group of people that she wants to belong to, now these people could be her actual, just her relatives and the place she grew up in, or people from the same nation or whatever, but it doesn't have to be. It could also be you have a woman born in China and she really wants to belong to the people in Sweden for some reason. Or it could be you have someone born in the north of Japan, but they really want to belong to people that are in Tokyo because they perceive people in Tokyo to be more valuable or whatever. But anyway, so the woman seeks a group that she wants to belong to. Once she has decided which group she wants to belong to, she will look for anyone with leverage within that group, especially which men in that group have the leverage. And then she will center her opinions and her behavior around the people with leverage in the group they want to belong to. Okay, let me give an example of this. Let's say you have a woman called Samira, and she was born in Egypt. However, growing up, she noticed a lot of dysfunction in the Arabian world, and she kind of developed this fetish for people from Scandinavia. She always perceived like people in Scandinavia, they have better countries, safer countries, this and this. So there was all propaganda in the media, but hey, she fell for it. So being a woman, she wants to belong to a group. That's actually a deep need for her. But because she had disdain for her own people, she wanted to belong to another group. So in this case, she fell in love with Sweden. She now wanted to be part of the Swedish people. Thing is, she's not Swedish. She's not from Germanic descent whatsoever. But anyway, she wants to belong there. So as a result, she booked a vacation to Sweden, to Stockholm. She made friends online and in person from Sweden. She learned the Swedish language. And what do you know? One day, she had a Swedish boyfriend. She moved to Sweden. In Sweden, she noticed that um, a lot of the politicians were left wing, quite liberal also, and that a lot of people who offered jobs were liberal too, at least in their time. So as a result, she adopted liberal values. Uh, she even uh, decided to do a master's degree in Sweden, joining liberal associations, all of that. Why? Because the group she wanted to belong to, the Swedish people, that was dominant at the time. left-wing people were left-wing. So because they had the dominance and actually made decisions in Sweden, she wanted to please them because she wanted to be part of that group. So, but thing is, in real life, she always acted like, man, I love my Arabian people. She kept talking about she's from Egypt, she's Arab, this and that. But the thing is, in her daily behavior, both online and offline, it became clear to people that, well, no, she talks about being Arab, this and that, but how come she never highlights Arabian holidays? How come she never highlights the issues go on in Egypt or Saudi Arabia or these other places? How come it's all about Sweden? How come she even chose a Swedish man to be with? Were there other Egyptian, Moroccan, Tunisian, or other men from quote unquote Arab nations that she could have been with? So she thought she was very smart and slick in hiding what she was doing, but people noticed it. So let's say now you would have met Samira in person, and and you wanted to know what you're dealing with. The only thing you need to ask is, okay, she's a woman. So what group does she wants to belong to? Okay. How do you find out which group she wants to belong to? You could ask her, but she may give you an answer that's socially acceptable. She may not, think, whoa, what is this? She may get creeped out, whatever. So the best way to find out which group she wants to belong to is to check who she's making excuses for and who she's highlighting. Because the group a woman wants to belong to, that's the group that's the group she's going to prioritize. And the people with leverage within that group are the ones she will listen to. Simple as that. And when it comes to worldly women, even go so far that often they only have empathy and consideration for the the people with leverage in the group you want to belong to. Now, this is not widespread the norm, but it can often go so far, especially if they choose a group that's totally different from the group they were raised in. So let's say now you notice that, okay, she moved to Sweden, she married a Swedish husband, and she works for a Swedish company. She's all about left-wing stuff. So it doesn't take a long time to realize, okay, she wants to be part of Swedish society, and she's leaned towards what's dominant in Sweden because she wants to be part of that society. Okay. Now, what if one day the right wing becomes dominant in Sweden? What is going to happen to her marriage, to the liberal husband of hers? What is going to happen to all the friendships she makes in Sweden? If it becomes clear that the left wing is not going to come back to power in Sweden, and she still wants to be part of the Swedish society, she will now shift towards the right wing, divorce her husband, get a right wing husband, have right wing friends now, and act like her liberal past was either a mistake or it never happened. I don't think how did Samira change like that? She never changed. She just shifted to what the group wants. And to check what the group wants, she checked who has leverage in the group and she models after that. Okay? Now, let's give another example. Yes, let's say you have a woman from the Philippines. The Philippines. Okay? And she now, her people she must belong to are the Filipino people. Very simple. However, she noticed there's a lot of dysfunction in the Philippines. A lot of it. Some dysfunction is quite embarrassing even. However, because she wants to belong to her Filipino people, she wants to please her Filipino people. And in this case, she looks at the people with leverage around her. And let's say now that the people around her have this, let's say the people around her have this issue against Americans, especially American European descent. Okay? Do you think this, let's call this woman Lisa, do you think this Filipino woman Lisa will even consider sexual involvement with a pale skinned man from the United States? Most likely not. Because if this comes out, how will she ever explain this to the people she wants to belong to? They have an issue against these quote unquote white Americans. And now she ends up busting it wide open and saying the streets towards this, a white American male. She's not going to do that because that's going to jinx her. It's going to mess up her community approval if she doesn't want that. But let's say now she decides to get friends from, let's say she gets friends, but the friends are from China. Okay? But the thing is, if she wants to belong to the Filipino people, why don't you get Filipino friends then? Because here's the thing, these friends from China have good business connections. And now these business connections can serve to create jobs in the Philippines. So she now has become the channel to bring in financial investment to the Filipino people. And that's why she has these Filipino friends. Does she want to belong to the Chinese people? No. Is she even interested in China, Chinese history? Absolutely not. But why does she seek for Chinese friends then? Why? Because it serves the community agenda of the people she wants to belong to. Okay? Let me give you another example. Okay? You have this man called Rudolph. Rudolph married this woman from Eastern Europe. Okay? And he thought, man, I learned a few Slavic languages during my studies. I met this great woman over here. I married her. Things going well. But he always felt like something was up. Couldn't understand why. Then one day, his wife filed for divorce. She claimed he's been abusive, this and that. And he thought, hold on a minute, none of that is true. What goes on over here? Long story short, she ended up filing for divorce. He ended up going to prison because they believed her stories. And he had to give up half of everything he built up, half of his cash, everything. And then he found out that she was actually cheating on him for over 2 years with a distant relative of hers. And she and this relative were the ones that plotted all of it. And now she's with a distant relative right now, causing 4 times removed or whatever. And she ended up marrying the guy afterwards. And now, after he left prison after 6 months, because just a minor charge that he was sent to prison to, he left prison and thought, hold on a minute, I'm divorced now. I lost my business, lost most of my cash, I have a better reputation now. What the heck happened? And then one of his former classmates from high school reached out to him and said, yo, Rudolph, I heard what happened to you, man. And Rudolph told them, bro, I don't know what happened, man. I was good to this woman. I did all I could for her. I mean, we had children together. I was a good father to the children. I learned 3 Slavic languages. I also helped her relatives out. What did she do? And then let's say this former classmate's name is Kevin. And Kevin told him, Rudolph, where's she from? Well, it doesn't really matter where she's from. Okay, she's from Eastern Europe. Okay. Okay. The country she's from, Rudolph, Frank asked, is that country doing well in the world? No. Okay, people like you, Rudolph, are they promoted in our country? People from your background. And let's say Rudolph is from Afro-Moorish descent, and he's called African American in the United States. And then Rudolph realized, no, you better see people like me with my skin tone or my complexion even promoted over there. Okay. Does her country have treaties or political or diplomatic ties with nations or people who look like us? Well, I didn't look really into that, but their main involved are with other European countries and the United States. Okay. Okay, so Rudolph, hold on a minute. So this woman comes from a place where people like you, or people like us, better said, are not even valued. And they come from a country that's not doing well financially. She is proud of her Slavic nation, correct? That she's from. Yeah. Rudolph said, yeah. Why did you get a Slavic man then? From her own country, from a nearby country? Why did she get you? Why did she have children with you? And then Kevin asked him, Rudolph, if you were broke on welfare, needing food stamps, do you even think this woman would even have considered you? And Rudolph got tears in the eyes. Well, likely not. And then Kevin said, yo, Rudolph, this is what happens, y'all. This woman is a reject from her own people. She's not really valued that much. But she still wants to be part of her own people. And that's why she wanted to fight for their approval. And one way for her to get their approval is to sabotage someone that the group, that her people look down upon. Her own people, a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them are likely raised that look down on people like us. She got you, was doing well financially, just to later break you down to please her own people that she wants to belong to. And she was willing to give you the wildest sex, even give you babies, just to keep you there. And then one day, she and her male relatives did applaud you. But I thought she loved me. We did wedding vows. She did this. And Kevin told him, Rudolph, the way Delvin father made the female, her community is always priority above the man she's sexually involved with. If her community turns against her man, most likely there are some exceptions, and there most likely she will dump that man one way or the other, or force the man to comply to what the community wants. Either she will abandon the community and join another community that's more favorable towards her husband, or she will drop that man, y'all. Okay, so hold on. Okay, can you all hear me? Okay. So in this case, Rudolph got a rude awakening. Now, why do I explain this dynamic of females? Because this dynamic is being misused in the world. Remember the first parable I gave in this live stream? It was about this guy called Jeffrey and his two friends from university who started on business. And who were the ones complaining the most? Women. The women in that community never perceived Jeffrey to be anyone of much importance. That's how they were used to looking at him. For them now to realize that Jeffrey gained importance, they have to change how they view Jeffrey. But then they have to explain why they look down on Jeffrey. And because they want to face themselves, they want to look within, they got stressed out and now they get pissed off at Jeffrey. And them being females, being emotional wise, the way God built them, they have no off switch. You go on and on and on, murmuring, complaining, going off against Jeffrey. And guess what? That murmur complaining about Jeffrey ends up destroying themselves mentally and emotionally. Also, it gives them physical damage. Who has to live with these damaged women now? They're damaged because they have an issue against Jeffrey. Jeffrey is not damaged directly by it, even though Jeffrey saw psychic violence at a distance. The women get damaged because of their issue against Jeffrey, and who has to live with all these damaged women? The community does. Because the community don't want to live with these damaged women. They want to figure out what's sending these women. And now you're going to have men, often men who are sexually desperate, who will act out on behalf of these women to give them ease. And in some cases, it could happen that a lot of women complain and murmur about the individual, and then you have this gang member who's thirsty for sex, who wants to get approval from his girlfriend, who ends up either robbing the target that the women are complaining about, or murdering the man, or whatever. Or it could be that one woman pressed charge against a man, false charges, but because and the courthouse sides with the woman. Why? Because they know if they drop the charges, more women will get upset. So what I'm saying is, women have the ability to put public pressure on the community. They do. Women have that ability. Now, that ability to put public pressure should be used for the good of the community. Unfortunately, in the world, a lot of women misuse their leverage, their feminine ability to put pressure on the community just to escape. And this misuse and abuse of the feminine leverage is what is assisting evil spirits, and this is also satanic cults. So not all women on the earth, absolutely not. There are quality women on the earth in every country. However, in general, women in the world misuse their feminine leverage of putting that they have in putting pressure on the community. Women have the feminine leverage based on design to put pressure on the community, to push the community in a direction. Now, they don't lead the community, they don't run the community, but they can put pressure in a direction when it comes to the community. Women should use this ability of theirs to push community for the better and look for people who want better and sponsor and sponsor not and be around these people, because them showing feminine investment in the people that want better will motivate those people to become better, and that will help the community also. But what if you have women who just want to escape desperately, and they're putting toxic pressure on the community to facilitate their escape? Well, that often happens in the world. And some of these women who are like this end up becoming witches, actually serving satanic cults. You understand this? Okay. This is the role worldly women play in financing satanic cults, or what we call the underworlds. Now, what a lot of these women don't understand is that the underworld is misogynistic. The underworld doesn't even care about women, doesn't even like women at all. As a matter of fact, the underworld hates women. So their toxic pressure they put on the community for their escape ends up haunting them. Because now the same satanic cults these women are enabling with their pathetic escapes are the same satanic cults that will organize ritual victimization on women. Where I already explained to you that femicide overall, I'm not talking, not every killing of women is a femicide, like people claim. I'm just saying femicide in the sense of ritual murder of women regularly. It's an actual established ritual from the underworld, y'all. So you have women that that are they have this pathetic attitude, they want to escape, and they put this toxic pressure on the community around them to facilitate their escape. And they don't realize that whatever they're enabling with their pathetic behavior will eventually haunt all the other women, including them, in the long run. All right? So this needs to be addressed too. And that's why satanic cults often use naive or toxic women for the propaganda. That's why they do, because women have this feminine leverage on putting pressure on the community and to push community in a direction. Women are able to do this. So evil people make use of this. And if a woman has no actual real good values, or if a woman is bad news because she's narcissistic, she is a prime tool that they will use. Okay, someone said in the live chat, let me show. Um, I've noticed dynamic even at church with the women there. They only seem to gravitate to guys with high social status, and they're not necessarily the most Christ-centered men. It happens in churches too, y'all. Now, in this live stream, I do not condemn women putting pressure on the community because it's their feminine ability to do so. And it's natural. God made women this way. What I'm saying is, in the world, a lot of women misuse and abuse their feminine ability to put pressure on the community. If women put pressure on their communities because they want the country to improve, or they want better education, or they want safer well-being for the children, therefore, that's all great. That's all quality. However, often in the world, you see women putting pressure on the community, and it's toxic pressure because the only thing they want is to escape and never be called out. And unfortunately, there are a lot of low-life, sexually thirsty men who facilitate women, a lot of these toxic women doing this. And that's a big problem. But I explained this dynamic already in the past and what we can do about it. For now, are there any questions about this topic? Let me know in the live chat, please. Let me know. Are there any questions about this topic? Let me know in the live chat, please. So I want you to understand the satanic cults, they can't operate fully in the open like that because of the revelation of Christ and the impact of human culture since the resurrection of Christ. It's not going to work well. So they have, in ancient times during the Roman Empire, to some extent they could just be open with their satanic stuff, but they can't do that anymore. So now you have witch doctors and some even fortune tellers who get the income because they know at some point it's going to be toxic pressure from a lot of women to escape. And based on this toxic pressure, will be people looking for paranormal assistance, and they'll cash the people looking for paranormal assistance. Then that cash, they put it together, and then they make sure they finance their occult activities to keep the public in a state of negativity. That's what goes on. So women have a big responsibility to watch out, first of all, which group they want to belong to. Also, they have to check what pressure they're putting on the community around them. Because if a woman puts the wrong pressure on the community around them, she's part of the problem, she's bad news, and at some point it's going to backfire on her. A woman ceases being a victim if she persists and continues to put toxic pressure on the community, because that means she doesn't care about anyone else. She's just narcissistic. She just wants to take advantage of other people. There's a difference between a woman who's naive or even mentally ill and is not aware what she's doing. That's one thing. But let me tell you, you can't be unaware what you're doing for that long. There's a difference between a woman who's either mentally ill or super naive and she's not aware what she's doing, and a woman who fully knows what she's doing but she pretends to be innocent. Unfortunately, the world is a lot at the second category. This is not a message just for men, it's for women also. I mean, I don't have to explain to women how to discern other women. Because, first of all, I'm not a woman myself, I'm a male. And here's the thing, a lot of women intuitively see through other women anyway, very quickly. It's often the men that have an issue seeing through women. But just in case I say this, for all the ladies out there, if you encounter another woman, check, first of all, what group she wants to belong to. Then check who that group is she wants to belong to. Look up information about to see what the group's about. And then you'll see, based on what the group's about, what this woman will do to you in your life. Same for men, but I'll say for every one of you. Check which group she wants to belong to. Then check that specific group, what goes on with that group. Check how that group relates to people like you. And then you'll know what her motive is for even being involved with you, whether it's as a friend or as a partner or whatever. Remember, satanic cults, they know, they do their homework, they do the research, and they know their stuff. A lot of beliefs out there don't know their stuff at all. And that's why a lot of people keep failing and crashing in life. But then you have satanic cults that succeed. Even though it's temporarily, they still succeed temporarily. That's why I'm teaching all of this, y'all. So all of you are listening to this. Satanic cults are founded by the toxic pressure that a lot of world women put on their communities, which includes the men who facilitate and comply with this toxic pressure. What the men should do is, if their women putting toxic pressure on the community, they should say, oh, hold on. What's going on over here? What's all this murmuring, complaining? What is this all about? The men are to counter toxic feminine pressure. Well, it's not even feminine if it's toxic, but anyway, if there's toxic pressure from females on the community, the men are to rise up and say, hold on. What goes on over here? Let's address this. Let's discuss this. They are to counter it in a masculine way. If that happens, it's over. Unfortunately, in the world, a lot of men don't value themselves. So when this toxic pressure comes from females, they now get along with the pressure in the hope that they can score points, in the hope that they can win points with the females. may even get sexual access. I'm just telling you how it goes. And now these men end up using physical violence or organized violence to enact any type of resistance against the people that community is upset with. Is it all clear to you all? Let me know the live chat, please. Let me know. So what I'm saying here is, listen, when it comes to violence against women should stop, absolutely. Just know, a lot of the violence against women are triggered and facilitated by a lot of other women. I mean, okay, let me give an example. Let's say a woman let's say that there's this drug dealer that, let's say you have a drug dealer who ended up beating his girlfriend and killing her for challenging him. You know what I mean? Now, okay, this is wrong. This guy should go to prison, simple as that. But think about the dynamic. How did this man become a drug dealer with all this leverage? Who is going to buy his drugs? And let me tell you, it's not only men that buy drugs. So there are a lot of women doing drugs too, undercover. And this man was so comfortable mistreating that woman, even killing her. Who powered him to be this way? Guess what? This drug dealer likely got a lot of women who were sexing undercover. Women were cheating on their husbands, cheating on their boyfriends, all of that. Or women just wanted some adventure at the nightclub. Instead of women saying, okay, this guy's bad news because he's selling drugs, let's avoid him. Let's not even talk to him. Or let's just don't give him any sex, whatever. Instead of women agreeing together, let's blacklist this man because man is bad news. There were women entertaining him. And because the women were entertaining the guy, other men thought, hey, let me be friends with this guy over here. Yes, I know he sells drugs, but hey, if I'm around him, some of these good-looking women come towards me too. So the women now begin to sexually motivate this drug dealer. Now the drug dealer became more popular and more relevant over there. And this is what led to the guy feeling so comfortable mistreating women, because Red looked down on women anyway, and he ended up killing his ex-girlfriend. So it's not that the women all around forced this man to kill his ex-girlfriend. No, they built the momentum for this to happen. So yeah, the drug dealer killed his ex-girlfriend. He needs to go to prison. However, the whole situation, the whole context that facilitated it was facilitated by a lot of these toxic, wasteful women that don't want to use their feminine pressure for the good for the community. Violence against women isn't just a man problem, like a lot of feminists claim it is. A lot of women were in on it too. Because if women in general were using feminine pressure to push for better, and they would boost and reward and sponsor the men who actually want better, men in general will want to be all want to be better out of the blue. But if you have a lot of women powering wasteful, stupid, and fucked up men, they're with doing that, they are harming the community. But hey, is these messed up, low quality men that end up doing the dirty job for them, give them the escape they want. But they don't care about the long-term effects once they get their escape. Well, guess what? There are a lot of women in on violence against women too. It's not just men. Just to point it out. And a lot of women also will facilitate violence against men also. She gets upset with her ex-husband, or she gets upset with a male colleague at work. Now she wants to cry victim, or now she wants to do a smear campaign, or now she wants to go legal against him, or now she even goes to the paranormal, or she tries to do witchcraft herself. Stop acting like all women on the earth are holy angels, are like these holy, innocent babies that don't know what they're doing. There are a lot of wasteful and evil women on the earth too. And they are the ones that power the finances for these satanic cults. And as a result, there are going to be a lot of other women becoming collateral damage of it. Is this clear to you all? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. God is good, y'all. God is good. So, thank you all for being here and watch this live stream. Again, hit the like button, share this live, subscribe to the channel, comment on the channel. You can check my creative works and novels on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, where you can find them. Also, please donate links below. Show some appreciation. Thank you very much. Your donations are needed, and I appreciate it right now. And again, pray about this knowledge, and where this knowledge applies to knowledge to glorify God and Father in your life. And I will see you in the next live stream. God is